Hello there. In this video, I thought it might be a neat idea to educate you on some of the lesser-known mythical creatures from around the world. I have a list of 8 creatures that I will be talking about. I'll spend about 3-ish minutes on each of them. I originally had a list of 10, but I thought some of them were kind of boring, so I decided to omit them. Hold on, I gotta refresh this. There we go. Disclaimer, I rely heavily on Wikipedia for my information. However, given that all of these creatures are fake anyway, it's not going to even matter this much. So, oh, one more thing. To put to rest any possible black swan arguments, I'm fully aware that it is kind of difficult to prove that something doesn't exist, as it's easier to prove something does exist than it is to prove that it doesn't exist. But for this video, I will just be assuming that all of these creatures just do not exist. I'm not here to speculate. I'm just here to talk about these creatures that you may not know about. And the first one on my list is called the Mokɛle-mbɛmbe. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. It uses prenasalized consonants. I'm not good at those. And this creature comes from Bantu mythology, somewhere around the Congo River Basin. The meaning of this creature's name is possibly one who stops the flow of rivers, or rainbow. I feel like both of these names could be equally true. I got that specific piece of information from Wiktionary, and Wiktionary doesn't cite where it got that information, so grain of salt. This creature is described as having a snake-like head, a thin tail, and a body that is bigger than a hippo, maybe the size of an elephant. Every depiction that I've seen of it, all the pictures that I've seen, it looks like either a brachiosaurus or a brontosaurus. And in fact, some sources just simply use a picture of a brontosaurus to give a visual idea of what this thing could be. This creature is relatively well known among followers of cryptozoology, of which I am not. And in pop culture, there is a chess opening that has been dubbed the Mokɛle-mbɛmbe variation, and it is a variation of the Aliechian defense, where after e4 f6, e4 knight f6, e5, black would then play knight e4, which would give white an advantage. I play a little bit of chess, but I'm like an intermediate slash, I'm not calling myself a beginner, I'm an intermediate. At the lower levels, you can play this no problem, because openings at that level kind of matter less. If you're at the high level, don't play this opening. And as far as I can tell, all this creature represents is the possibility that dinosaurs may walk amongst us. Basically. So that brings me to the thoughts that I have on this creature. For coolness factor, I rate it a 7 out of 10 if you like dinosaurs. If you're just an average person, I will rate it a 5 out of 10. Sorry. In terms of plausible deniability, I would call this creature baseline deniable. It doesn't really have an effect whether it's real or fake. Assuming it's fake, well, obviously nothing has changed, but assuming it's real, like I said, it doesn't really do anything for us except that it just proves that there is a living dinosaur, which is kind of what this thing is supposed to represent. And in my opinion, that's kind of boring. Like, of all the mythological things that you can say about this, just the fact that we could have dinosaurs with us, like, it's boring, in my opinion. The second creature I will talk about is known as the Wendigo, and it comes from Algonquin mythologies. This creature's way more interesting, in my opinion. Different cultures, different Algonquin cultures, have different interpretations of what this creature is, but generally speaking, it is an evil and horrific creature that eats humans. Scary. A lot of animals would eat a human, so it could just be an over-exaggeration of this culture saw a predator and was absolutely terrified, and thus the legend of the Wendigo was born. There is no exact date of origin, but it dates back at least over 300 years. It is typically depicted as a lanky, human-like figure that wears a skull as a mask, and without the mask, it usually has the head of a beast, like a wolf, kind of tying back into my previous theory. And it has antlers. The antlers are very important. It kind of reminds me of Skekmal from Dark Crystal. Here's a, no, here. Where's the image? Right here. Right here. Here's the image. This creature is often used as a metaphor for cannibalism. There's a concept known as Wendigo psychosis, which means you have a craving for flesh. And in pop culture, this has appeared many, many times. According to my own list, it has appeared in Fallout 76, it has appeared in a game called Dusk and Until Dawn. Dusk and Dawn, hilarious. It has also appeared in shows such as Ravenous, Dark Was the Night, Hannibal. I'm not familiar with any of them, don't ask me about it. And it also appeared in The Incredible Hulk, number 62. Number 162 from 1973. As for my thoughts of this creature, I rate it an 8 out of 10. Because this looks like something straight out of a horror movie. Like, I really like the design of this. Design. The alleged description of it. And it is, in terms of being scary, it's very effective at doing that. Nothing scarier than eats humans. In terms of memeability, very. Especially from how ingrained it is in pop culture. It's in shows, games, comics. And I can even see this being incorporated by the SCP Foundation, even though I don't know what that is. I just kind of know it exists. But anyway, moving on to a creature known as the Chaneque from Aztec and Mexican folklore. This creature is depicted as having human-like features, mainly the face of an elder and the body of a dwarf. These creatures are not friendly to most, but instead are employed as house guardians. So when you give them an offering, possibly a sacrifice, this creature will protect your home. And because of its friendly, not friendly duality, different cultures portray them positively while others portray them negatively. Not sure why that duality even exists, but that's what it says. And something that surprised me when I read it is that this specific creature is mentioned in documents that were written by the Spanish Inquisition, which I did not expect at all. Coolness factor, 4 out of 10. Just a small person. Sorry. I know they're also used as house guardians. I would just consider them vermins. I honestly, I wouldn't trust one. Quickly moving on. That brings us to Europe with a creature known as the Tatzelwurm, which originates from the Swiss Alps. It appears in folklore from Switzerland, obviously, Austria, Bavaria, France, and Italy. Maybe also Sweden. And this creature's origins dates back all the way to the 17th century. It is described as a snake-like dragon with a cat's head, and I would describe this as a worm. That's a worm with a Y, because, like, worms, dragons, I don't know the connection. There's a connection, okay? Whatever. This creature's name means paw dragon. Tatzel, I guess, means paw, and Wurm means dragon. It also means worm, but you knew that. However, in Switzerland, it is known as the Stollenwurm, which means tunnel dragon. And in fact, Tatzelwurm is a Bavarian term and later adopted by Austria. I wish there was like some associated tale. I couldn't find one. Then again, I didn't look very hard. And like the Mokɛle-mbɛmbe, the only lore I could find was may or may not exist. I couldn't find like what does this creature represent. I don't know if it's like a mountain guardian. It could be a mountain guardian or something. I don't know. Coolness factor, believe it or not, in my notes I graded it a 7 out of 10 because I figured dragons are interesting. And the folklore even stuck around via statues and art, so I guess that gives it a leg up on the Mokɛle-mbɛmbe, which I rated kinda low, 5 out of 10. But yeah. So here's the creature that inspired me to make this video in the first place. It is it's a Canadian mythical creature known as the House Hippo. It is a tiny hippopotamus, maybe the size of a rat. So like 10-20 centimeters long, based on just the portrayal that I've seen of it, just doing the estimation. And it has the proportions of a hippo. So if you want to know the rest of the dimensions, just do the math. This creature lives in your home. It feeds off of like crumbs and chip bags that you leave open. It makes nests out of dust. There is like a lot to be learned about this creature. And you may be thinking that for Canadian folklore it must date back all the way to the 1800s. No, it does not. It first appeared in folklore in 1999, that exact year. It's recent. So I told you all these facts about the house hippo. One that I forgot that I see in my notes is that it can sleep for 16 hours a day, and they like to hide while doing it. And obviously, this is not true. You probably won't see a house hippo in your house. But the reason this creature even exists, what it represents is it represents misinformation. It was created to be used in a PSA to warn people about misinformation, that the media like may have things that seem real, but could be either like misleading or just completely made up. I'm making this video in 2025. The jokes can make it themselves. In pop culture, people actually love to lean into the jokes that these things are real. Like, people will say, like, yeah, I saw one, they're real, there's one in my house. And my source for this is my friends. My friends will say this. And I just think it's so hilarious that they even do this. I guess a question you can ask was, did the PSA work? I mean, if people are saying, yeah, I have a house hippo in my house, like, I don't know. The company that made this mascot or creature has since been defunct, but another company, I don't have it written down, did pick it up and reuse the concept of a house hippo as recent as 2019, and it's for the same purpose, to warn people about misinformation. I'm guessing this time it's for the internet. My thoughts on this. Coolness factor, 10 out of 10. And that is my totally unbiased opinion. /S. In my opinion, we need a mascot like this. We need a mascot to represent, well, not represent misinformation, but like represent the awareness of misinformation. And this is a prime candidate. Like, I love this thing. For no reason other than the reasons that I said. The next creature on my list is known as the Huldufólk from Icelandic and Faroese folklore, but mainly Icelandic. They are small, human-like creatures that like to cause mischief. They are also described as elves, sometimes even called elves. And there have been a surprising number of sightings of these creatures, primarily in the field of construction, which is kind of hilarious to me. And these creatures, I'm going to try to pronounce it again, the Huldufólk, have been blamed for multiple construction delays in Iceland. Once in 1971 and twice in 2013. There are probably more, but these are the instances that I found. I can't give you any more information other than the years that they took place in. And there is a huge list on Wikipedia of just places where these creatures have been sighted. All of these places have Icelandic names accompanied by coordinates. And because all of these names are extremely Icelandic, I'm not even going to try to pronounce any of them. If there's one language that I struggle pronouncing, it's Icelandic, and I'm sure I could get used to it with some practice. It'll just take me a while. In pop culture, the only thing that was listed is that the anthropomorphic rocks that you see in Frozen, in Disney's Frozen, they may be Huldufólk. Maybe. Or may have drawn inspiration from them, or something. I don't really see a connection, but hey, it was mentioned. Coolness factor, 9 out of 10. I'm actually kind of surprised I ranked it that high, but I did. I guess it's because I think it's just a hilarious excuse that you can just, if something happens that you're like, oh my god, of course this happened, you can just say, yeah, it was the Huldufólk's fault. Like, yeah, of course. That's why we can't fix the road with construction. It's because there are tiny elves. In terms of plausible deniability, this one's actually kind of hard to deny just because of how many alleged sightings there are. Like, I'm very surprised. This next one's probably a little more well-known. It is the Manticore from Persian mythology, and in Persian it is known as the Manticore. I probably butcher that, especially while I'm trying to do soft-spoken. Its lore dates back thousands of years. This is probably the oldest one on this list. Maybe. And it is described as having the head of a human, often with blue eyes, the body of a lion, and the tail of a scorpion. It has a voice that sounds like a trumpet or a pipe, and it is sometimes depicted with wings. Sometimes. And this creature appears in heraldry. I tried looking for an actual badge that had a manticore on them, but they all just looked like plain lions to me, so I won't be showing them. This one that I did find right here, like I said, it just looks like a lion. But I mean, that is what was listed. Maybe the coat of arms of Bermuda depicts a manticore, even though it just once again looks like a plain lion to me. I don't know. I'm just going off of what the information that I found. I'm not convinced that these specific examples are manticores, but they were mentioned, so I'll mention them here. In pop culture, this creature appears in the Percy Jackson movie series. And in fact, in that series, it looks more like a rat. I don't know. It also appears in Dungeons and Dragons. Although in that game you can just have any monster. But I mean it's official, I guess. It's also in Magic the Gathering. I've never played. And I was going to say that this creature appeared in Harry Potter, but it doesn't. And just a quick anecdote to tell you why I was going to say that. It's because for the first time, I had never done this before, I decided to ask ChatGPT to summarize this creature just to give me a starting point on my notes. I was going to ask it to write me all of this, and then I would cross-reference everything, make sure it's correct, and that way I'd have the notes all written out and the research that I did manually. And it would just save me the typing time. Not that big a time save, but it's a time save that I kind of wanted to just like do that shortcut. Anyway, so it gave me the summary, and it said that the Manticore appeared in Harry Potter. Source, Wikipedia. Now, I had already like read the Wikipedia article, and I don't remember seeing anything about Harry Potter, so I went back to the Wikipedia article, and I did a Control F, and I typed in Potter, and there was no mention of Harry Potter, but there was mention of two sources, both published by Clarkson N. Potter, not Harry Potter. So, this chatbot was so confident that the Manticore appeared in Harry Potter and sourced Wikipedia, saying that yes, it says, Wikipedia says the Manticore is in Harry Potter. It did not mention Harry Potter at all. It mentioned someone completely different, and ChatGPT just spat out, just like, oh yeah, it was in this franchise. No, it wasn't. Completely wrong. Like the rest of the summary, it was not even that accurate either. It was just kind of giving me like vague answers. Anyway, that's why I cross-referenced it in the first place. It couldn't even summarize the Wikipedia page properly. It's freaking useless. Don't trust chatbots. But anyway, anecdote over. And that brings me to the thoughts section of the Manticore. Coolness factor, 8 out of 10. Just from its appearance. Lion, scorpion, human. Cool design, I think. And the myth of it has stuck around for a very long time, which I think gives it some points. And it also has been adapted so many times. In obviously like fictional and mythological ways, but that still counts. And the last, is it, do I only have 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no, 8, I can't count. Okay, the last one that I want to talk about is Níðhåggr from Scandinavian or Nordic mythology. This one's one of the more well-documented creatures in folklore just because of how well-preserved the Nordic mythology is. However, I'll just give you a brief overview, just to keep it brief. This creature is another worm, with a Y. I'll just quote this from Wikipedia because it's a really good description. It is said to gnaw at the roots of the world tree Yggdrasil and is likewise associated with the dead in Hel and Niflheim. So that gives you its mythological purpose. This creature appears in Brawlhalla. I play Brawlhalla. It appears minimally. It's a KO effect. I'll just put a little GIF right here. I just thought that was worth mentioning. And I don't know why specifically I like this creature, even though I'm not really describing it too well. Probably not even doing it justice either. This is just a brief description. But I kind of just like the name Níðhåggr. I just think it's cool. And if I had a dog, I don't plan on getting a dog anytime soon, but if I had a dog, I would name it Níðhåggr. And for no other reason other than just because I feel like it, I give this creature an 8 out of 10. And that brings me to the end of the video. I hope you learned some things. I know this was shorter than my other videos. I tried to keep it short. I did a lot of research for this, and I was like less passionate about this one specifically. Maybe I shouldn't be telling you that, but transparency. I once again did not get any comments on my last videos. That's okay. You don't have to comment, but I would love to feature your comment in my next video should you decide to do so. But with that, I bid you all a good night. Bye-bye. In Persian, it is known as the Manticore. The Manticore. Manticore. It also appears in Dungeons of Dragons. Dungeons of Dragons. Now, I had to cross-reference everything that this chatbot said before I even did it, so before I even put the information into my speech notes, of course. 1 second. Ugh. I'm so scatterbrained. I'll just start over.